Are you planning to travel anytime soon? Have you ever encountered any problem in the airport because maybe of your race, maybe of different reasons? Have you been asked questions which you find sometimes being outrageous? This video, I want to talk about the questions which are likely to be asked in most airports because obviously you'll be asked different questions in different airports. So you just need to be ready and know how to answer these questions. So in this video, I'll try to answer and show you how to answer some of these questions because they usually pop up in many airports, especially for Africans or people from Caribbean. You'll be asked so many questions, which then again, if you hesitate to answer, you are likely to be denied a visa or returned at the airport, because we've seen so many people being returned at the airport, and that is the last thing you want to experience while having taken a 12-hour or 13-hour flight all the way to that country of your dreams. Then you get returned at the airport. And to start with, the first question which you are likely to be asked is what is the purpose of your trip? What is the purpose of your visit? And this is one of the most common questions which many people often get to be asked. And the answer for this question is should mostly be based on the type of visa or the kind of visa you are traveling on. So, for example, you are traveling on a visit visa. You cannot say that you cannot say anything which will be implying that you'll be working during your visit. So you need to be knowing that a visit visa, you are not supposed to work, and you should state that you are just visiting that country and you are not intending to do any type of work while in that country. On the other side, if you are on a work visa, the purpose of your trip is to work, and you need to be able to state that categorically. And the visa officer is just asking you this question. They already know because of the type of visa you are on, but they want to see whether you know what is bringing you into this country and whether you are confident with your answer. So again, you need to be confident with answering this question because it's just a technicality, and most times they'll be looking at you to see whether you know what you're saying and what is the purpose of your visit. And also, the subsequent questions, the subsequent answers which you're going to answer to the questions, we should be married to the purpose of your visit. So, for example, you are attending a conference, you should be able to clearly state that you are attending a conference in such and such a place, and that is the conference you applied for it sometimes back, and you've gotten the invitation. But do not give out a lot of information which is not necessary. Again, what this means is that you should always carry a printed travel itinerary. That is a step-by-step stating that from here you'll go to this place, from here you'll go to this place. And the reason I usually tell people to print out this itinerary is because if the itinerary is in your phone sometimes might malfunction, and you might find yourself the people waiting in line to be served. There's no time for you to explain this without. But if you have a printed itinerary, it will be easier for you to explain. From this place, I'm planning to visit this place. From this place, I'll be visiting this place, and you have already your printed hotel bookings and onward return flights. They're already printed, and you have them with you for you to be able to explain in an easy way what you'll be planning to do in that country. The other question people usually get asked, and sometimes usually the second question is, how long are you going to stay in this country? And the visa officer is basically asking this question to determine whether the length of your stay, the time you are planning to stay in that country is in tandem with the visa provision on which you are in. So, for example, you are on a visit visa which allows you to stay for 6 months, and here you are stating that you want to stay for 7 months. The visa officer definitely will know that you want to overstay your visa, and what I usually advise people is to ensure that the length of your stay is not long. Your visa might have given you 14 days to attend a conference. Unless you want, even if you want to change your length of stay while in that country, you should not state that at the airport, because the visa officer is basically trying to see whether you want to extend to extend your stay and stay in that country for longer time, which sometimes may be considered illegal, and they can return you at the port of entry if you state that you want to stay for longer time than the one you've stated, which has been stated in the visa on which you are in. So basically, most of these questions and the answers will depend on the visa you are traveling on. So usually check the visa you are traveling on and Google the provisions of that visa. The other question which follows is which proof do you have that you are going to leave this country after you're done with your visit? And sometimes these questions can be very technical to most people, because most people, they might not know how to answer this question. And the first thing I usually tell people to use as proof is a return ticket, because if you are on a visit visa, definitely you have a return ticket to your home country, and this is definite proof that you are going to leave that country after you are done with your 3 months, 4 months stay in that country. So once the visa officer, not the visa officer, once the port of entry officer, or what do we call them, border control officers, asks you which proof do you have that you are going to leave this country, you can tell them the only proof I have right now is that I've booked a flight back, which I'll take back home on a certain date. And then again, the dates should be married, should be in tandem with the provisions of visa and what you've answered in the other questions which have been asked prior. So you need to have the mental frame to be able to know how to answer these questions without contradicting yourself in between. And that is what calls for proper planning, proper advice while applying for this visa. Also, family ties back home. If you have a family back home, is proof that you are going to return back to your family, and that you can use that as to say that I have children, I have a spouse, I have a husband, and I have a mother back home who will return once I'm done with your stay, and I have no reason to stay in a foreign country, leaving my children, or leaving my wife, or leaving my mother, or leaving my ailing mother back home. Also, that is a sure reason for me to return back to my home country. The other thing I usually tell people to use in that question is to show hotel reservations. Hotel reservations, you've booked an hotel, maybe in an Airbnb for a certain period of time, you can use to answer that question and say that I booked an hotel, I booked a Airbnb for only 10 days, and I'm not planning to extend my stay in this country. I'm planning to go back home, and you support all that using different documents and the statements which you can put together. But I usually advise people, don't give out information which you think might jeopardize your chances of getting in that country at the airport. The other question people get asked, and sometimes becomes very hard, where will you be staying during your visit? And this is what calls for proper planning and booking restaurant, booking hotel rooms, booking Airbnbs. And this you can do in different places. You can also do this through booking.com. You can go to places like Airbnb and book for stays in different places. And they want that person at the airport, they want to get the address. So you should be having the address of the place, the exact address of the place you are planning to visit in your mind, because basically they want to know whether you've researched and you've gotten proper information about the hotel, and if possible, also have the contact of the restaurant, because sometimes the visa, the border officers, they usually call that hotel to see whether you've done your reservations for the stated number of days, so that all that you can support that information. And there are different places you can book restaurants and stays, just to be able to prove that you'll be living in that country, and the length of stay you'll be doing in that country. The other question most Africans get asked, and this unfortunately is a question which most Africans are asked. And before we do that, make sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to ask your questions in the comment section, so that we answer them, so that our people don't get trouble, because we know Africans or people of color are targeted in most airports. So that is why we usually answer these questions on the go, so that people get to understand them. The other question you'll be asked at the airport is, what is your occupation? And remember, while filling your visa, you stated your occupation. So then again, remember what you stated. Don't try to lie. Don't try to game the system. tell the person what is your occupation, and the purpose for this question is sometimes married to the question of whether you'll leave this country once you're done with your visit. So, for example, you are a teacher, you are a nurse, you are a doctor in your home country, and you are visiting this country for leisure. You can tell this person at the port of entry that I am a doctor. I'll be visiting this country. I want to see different places in this country, and also I want to visit my brother who is based in the U.S. But then after that, I'll be traveling onward to another country, maybe Canada, to another country. It depends with your travel itinerary. So these questions need to be married from the start to the finish. So have that frame of mind to be able to answer those questions without faltering. The other question, which I usually find common, is how much money do you have? How much money do you have with you? Sometimes they get specific and ask you how much cash money do you have? And then again, before you answer this question, you need to have understood the financial regulations of these different countries, because there are different countries which require you, which might prohibit you from carrying a certain amount of money in cash, or bring in a certain amount of money in that country. So you need to check Google. You can Google financial requirements for people traveling maybe to Canada, to the US, and check how much money they might require you. This question might also have been asked so that the visa officer or the border officer understands whether you'll be able to support yourself or you'll be able to support your stay in this country. And at this point, they'll ask you how much money do you have. So this will include all the money in your bank statement. So the bank statement you used to apply for this visa, you should be having that information in your mind and be able to state that I have like 10,000 US dollars, I have 8,000 US dollars, and I'm planning to use some of this money to be able to support my stay in this country. So you just need to be properly planned. You need to be properly eloquent and know how to answer these questions without missing something or saying that something which will jeopardize your chances of getting inside that country. The other question I usually find common is who helped you how to pack your bag, because at that point the visa officer wants to know whether someone, for example, if your wife, your husband, your brother helped you to pack your bag. And at that point they might be asking this question technically to be able to know whether if they find something which is suspicious in your bag, they can attribute that to someone else packing your bag. And if it's you who packed your bag, you can as well say that I packed my bag and everything inside that bag, I know it. But if it's your wife, you can then again proceed to say that it's your wife who assisted you packing your bag, but you know what is inside that bag. So don't be afraid when asked these questions, unless there's something suspicious in your bag, for example, explosives, or something which might resemble explosives, which might be misconstrued to mean that you are a danger, you are a risk in that country. The other question, which I usually find quite uncomfortable, is when ladies or young ladies are asked, are you traveling alone? And the visa officer, they definitely know you are traveling alone. And what the reason for asking this question is that they want to see how comfortable you are, and whether how you answer the questions up there is the same way you answer these questions. Because definitely they know you are traveling alone, and they just want to. This is just an ambiguous question to confuse you further, because they know after a long flight you're already confused. And you just need to answer these questions as natural as they come, without even overthinking, because they don't expect you to overthink, and they just want to confuse you with some of these questions, and you should not worry about them. The other question I usually get many Africans being asked, and many travelers from people of color, is do you have family members in this country? Because definitely they know you might be having a brother, a sister, a cousin in the United States. And if you have I usually say, if you have a family member in that country, there is no harm in saying that I have a brother in this country and I'll be visiting him for one day. Then I go back to because I have a job in my home country. I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I'm a teacher. I'll be going back to my home country to continue with my work. And you can state that I will not be. You can also say that I'll not be visiting my brother, but I will be talking over the phone because the one who is guiding me through this process. I know sometimes this can be used against you, but I usually say, try to the best of your knowledge, try to answer these questions as honestly as possible, because the visa officer might have done background check on you and realize that you have a brother, you have a sister, you have a cousin in that particular country. The other question, which is the last one in this series, is you might find that the visa officer is asking you, have you ever been in this country before? And the visa officer has already checked your travel history, maybe in your passport, and seen that you have a stamp for this country. But basically, they want to support, to be able, for you to be able to support yourself and say that I visited the US before and gone back to my home country. That was, if you remember the dates, you can state. If you do not remember the dates, it's still okay to say that I can remember, but I was here sometimes in the year 1990. I cannot remember exactly the dates, but I was here and I got back to my home country to continue with my work. So basically, if you get yourself to any airport, be prepared with questions. I know there are so many questions which you can be potential questions which you can be asked at the embassy, at the airport, sorry. But we will be here to guide you and support you in your travel by answering these questions, some of these common questions which you need to be prepared to answer if you are traveling in a foreign country, and different things which have resulted people to be denied visas or entry into those countries. So thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, ask your questions or your travel experiences in the comment section so that many people benefit. Thank you.